What is up, everybody? It's your boy Rogue here. So, in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys my tier list post Suda. I've been studying a lot of Suda decks post Suda, watching a lot of DB Grinder, different YouTubers like myself who does a lot of the competitive content, and I think I compiled a good list of things that we're gonna be seeing next format, in addition to some of the decks you guys might not be thinking about, and give you guys where I think they sit at in the current format. And of course, I will be doing more of these videos moving forward as the format progresses. So if you guys are interested in that content, hit the subscribe button for more. I'm uploading videos like almost every single day. And also be sure to check out my channel sponsors in the description down below. Imperium Duelist for 10% off, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Mint for all your Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs. You can save 7% off. So, I'm going to shoot straight into the video. I want to take up too much of you guys' time. I know you guys are probably busy. Centurion. So, I ain't gonna lie. Played against this at regionals a few times. Why is tier 1.5 here and tier 2 here? Okay, we're just gonna run it. I didn't realize this was like tier 1. Let me just fix this real quick, y'all. This is bugging me. This should be here, and tier 1.5 should be here. I literally was just making this thing. I'm like, oh my god. Anyway, Centurion, played against it at regionals a few times. I've always collapsed it. I rarely see it at locals, but I don't think it's a bad deck. I want to say it's Rogue, but I see it so much. I think it's tier 2. It's one of those decks that's really good if your opponent knows what they're doing. If they go uninterrupted, they're just gonna win. They have a hard time going second, especially against decks like Rises with Detonator just popping everything. So they're a solid tier 2. Good pickup for the format. They're not that expensive. If you know what you're doing and your opponent don't know what they're doing, you're gonna win, honestly. So I think Centurion is really good. Pure Rizel. So Pure Rizel, in my opinion, is definitely not tier 2. Definitely not tier 1 because it'd be winning a lot more. But it did just top 8 at regionals, so I got it in the tier 1.5 slot. I am paying the Pure Rizel. There's different variants of Rizel. Of course, we have things, but Rizel being the better variant. Then Mr. Rugi Rizel is up in the air depending on what people want to pit it as. Some people are saying it's tier 1. Some people are saying it's garbage because people aren't running Dro. I think Mr. Rugi Rizel is really good just from the games I've watched, like Trip Gaming play that deck at the highest peak. However, the truth is a lot of people aren't running Dro right now, so there's no really. And then me playing as Mr. Rugi online on Dueling Book myself, not the Rizel variant, but the Pure variant using the Snake Engine, Dro shuts that deck down a lot. So I think Pure Rizel is probably the same power level. The decks just do different things. I think because Mr. Rugi is new. I got that on his list. I'll get to that later. But I think what Pure does, for what it's worth, is straight to the point, uninterrupted. You're going to end on Baguska, Detonator, some hand traps, the field spell pass. Post Suda, if you open up Godly, you can hand rip your opponent for 2 to 3 cards, end on Detonator with field spell pass. So it's really good because Twins of the Eclipse changes things, giving this deck an insane power up. Pure Malice, not running any of the engines like the Sky Striker or the Phoenix Book. Pure Malice run Bishops. I think it hovers around, honestly, just from my own personal testing. If you just want to run Pure with no other engines, just other than Bishops, I think it's like tier 2. Regular Rizel just beats it. Honestly, I rarely lose against Malice as it is with the actual other engines. So I think the tier 2 regular, if you're just gonna play pure thoroughbred Malice, it's tier 2, which is not a bad deck at all. It still can do things like D-Shifter, even though they end on a weaker board. But the benefit is once they resolve a Whitebinder, which is why I got Whitebinder right here, they start spamming on your opponent's turn and start setting up their MTO7. So honestly, if you're gonna play pure, it's a tier 2 deck. We're definitely good enough for local to win at locals, but just play the other variants. They're just way better. Yubel, one of my old favorite decks, man. I freaking love Yubel. This is gonna be the Yubel Famous version. I don't have the different versions down here because I just don't think Yubel's that relevant. I don't really see it at locals anymore at all. I did run into it at the first regionals I went to this season, and I smacked it up. It's a good deck. It's not as good as it used to be. It's not tier 1.5, and damn sure not up here. But I think it hovers around tier 2 as well. Like, I wouldn't even say it's Rogue, because it could definitely win at locals if you know what you're doing with the Yubel Phoenix Smith. But if there's some solid Rizel players in the room just running regular Rizel, they could just stomp on it. But I think tier 2, it's right around the same power level as like a Centurion, a Malice. Like, it's good. It's just not the best thing since sliced bread. So I think Yubel's a good deck still overall. Branded, it's Rogue, man. Good for locals. Like, you probably can win the locals with it. I think you have to really, the thing about Branded is, right, you have to be a really skilled player with that deck and know the deck in and out. this is to beat people because their main thing is they can still lock you with different cards. Like, there's one card. I'll probably have either picture pop up on the screen. They can do different things like Rod's Disciple just to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. There's this one monster, I can't think of his name, but while it's facing on the field, your opponent can't summon. So the only thing that's keeping this deck from being this overly godly is because people are running Book of Eclipse in the main deck at 3. Shout out to all the YouTubers like Yugioh putting people on with that. It's just like you lock your opponent with that monster, Book of Eclipse, put it face down, start comboing off, and you win. And then on top of that, they just don't have the tricks that they used to have. It just every other deck got better. And post Suda with decks like Pure Rizo up here, being able to just re-spam out Abyss Dweller thanks to Twin of Eclipse, Brandon is gonna have a hard time. So yeah, that's just that. Fiendsmith. So this is just talking about like Fiendsmith pure with hand traps. Fiendsmith engine is so good, man. I want to put it at 1.5. Fiendsmith just by itself is just really good, but last time I played this deck, I clapped it. So I'm going based on my own personal experience as well. I think honestly the Fiendsmith engine is only really good when you combine it with stuff. But if you want to play pure Fiendsmith with hand traps, I think Triff was on this deck for a while as well. So I think it's solid tier 2. Definitely good enough to win at locals. Like, and you know, Desiree is not a weak monster, can OTK like crazy. And the deck runs like 20 plus hand traps. So the engine overall is just good. The whole Lacrima, recycle back Requiem, spam itself out, dump the traps and Desiree send a monster. Like that whole stuff is just too goofy. But so pure Fiendsmith, just off the rip, y'all. I think it's a tier 2 deck. That's really good. Combining it with other engines boosts it up a lot because it helps those other decks play around the hard losses. Like it helps Rival play against things like D-Barrier, Malice play against things like Artifact Lancia, things like that. Mermail. I ain't gonna lie, man. This deck tier 2, bruh. So shout out to my boy Dexter. He almost top 8 at regionals. I think he got like 18th place with his Mermail deck. Or he made top cut, but he did really well with Mermails at the Rosemont regionals recently. And the deck is really good. Like the deck's not bad. It's just one of those decks like it's tier 2. So it's like the same power level as these decks down here. Uninterrupted though, they're gonna rip your hand for 3 cards, which is very scary. So because they can always do the Mullion Glacier plays, they have another monster that says you pitch it with another water monster to the graveyard, look in your opponent's hand and rip a hand trap. So they can off the rip a hand trap. If they're playing talents, rip another card, Mullion Glacier the last card, and then your opponent's gonna be down to like 1 card. So uninterrupted in the God hand, Mermails is gonna beat 90% of the decks on the list. The only problem with Mermail, just like everything else, like Fiendsmith, Abyss Dweller. Then not only that, if you're a player like me who's been playing for years and remember when Mermail was one of the best decks of the format, you know, save your imperms and things for Mullion Glacier. So they don't open up that one guy to just rip it out of your hand. You're gonna imperm Mullion Glacier so that way you don't at least lose 2 cards and just come back and win on a following turn. That's how I did beat it every time I play against it in locals. And well, not even really locals, it's just like air regionals and things like and online because I know how to play against this deck. The deck it just got better. And I think the reason why people beat it, lose to it because they don't know what's going on. Crystron. So, honestly, y'all, this deck is nutty. It's tier 1. First tier 1 deck on this list. Bro, shout out to my boy Yasina. Just watched his video. He dropped the Crystron spreadsheet. Go check him out, honestly. Tell him I sent you. The deck is really good. Tons of free combo videos online if you guys want to buy a spreadsheet, though. And, man, this deck could do so much. So, because of Tristalos, dude, and the auto new support, the deck can end on consistently Cyberdragon Infinity. They have a monster that when he comes out, he banishes all your opponent's monsters. And on top of that, it's really this plays through hand traps really well. The only problem with though Crystron's is, from what I've noticed at least in my own playtesting, Dro kind of hurts them a little bit. And if we have format trends like the OCG, when Tristron's got cycled into the metagame, a lot of players are playing Forbidden Droplet in their main deck because this deck, I can see a world where, because when they combo off, they end on like 3, like Infinity, 2 Crystron monsters, which is the Tristalos and pass. So if you open up Droplet, you have a really good hand. Like say for example, you're playing Rizel, activate Bonfire, they try to change one of their effects, change Droplet, send the Bonfire, send 2 other cards from your hand, negate all the monster effects. And if they don't have any hand traps in their hand or they don't have any backer that can do anything, you're gonna win. So the deck's good. I think on YCS Anaheim and when it's on release, a lot of people are just going to be cooking people with Crystons. But once the format evolves, it might get bumped down to tier 1.5 once people know what they're doing. Because that's kind of like how it was in the LCG. Like people, it was winning a lot. Then once people figured out how to play against it, it started like getting knocked down. But it's still a good deck overall. Heroes. I ain't gonna lie, man. As much as I love heroes, y'all, the deck is Rogue. Um, my channel name's Rogue Hero, which is ironic. The deck is like it's okay. Like it's okay for locals. It's just like my theory on most Rogue decks. If your opponent don't know what you're doing, you're gonna win 90% of the time. If you're like me and you know how to play against heroes and you've played heroes before, you shouldn't lose to this deck if you're playing them out of deck. Like honestly, and it depends on how they build it too. Like I know hero players, some they're changing it up, but if they're doing a standard old activate Ferris, pitch, bring out increase, tribute for increase. If you're playing deck like Rizel, detonator pop increase, or save your Ash Blossom for the increase, special summon from deck, save your imperms to stop the Vion for searching a poly, save the Ash Blossoms for like the Fusion Destiny, like for the big plays. If you do all that, you shouldn't be losing the heroes. Like I said, it really wins because it catches people off guard, honestly. So it's a good deck, but I gotta admit, even as a hero player, I was winning a lot of my games because people didn't know where to hand trap me. So it's a really good deck for locals, decent for good for regionals as well. If you're lucky enough, you probably can top a big event with it. However, I won't be surprised if we see a hero top 8 of regionals because the Evil Hero stuff is gonna be new. People don't think the deck is real. They're not prepping for it. But in a metagame where I predict people are going to be main deck and draw, this deck ain't doing much. So it is what it is. Fight me in the comments down below. But I love the deck. It's just not that good. Meliodas, man, I got cooked by this at locals the other day. Mainly to myself. However, with that being said, I think the deck is really good. I got cooked by it online last night too. I think it's tier 1.5. Like, I think it's better than tier 2. It's top 8 at regionals recently. And on top of that, it feels like uninterrupted. It goes crazy. Like, I would much rather play against any of these decks down here versus Meliodas. I think Meliodas is really good. You can do Meliodas Rizel. There's all kind of different variants you can do. So it's a real deck. Don't sleep on it at all. It will cook you. Alrighty, so I forgot which deck this was right here. Let me pause this real quick. So, alrighty, so Memento. I think this is Memento Monster. I watched a little research. It did top Anaheim. I'm putting it in tier 2 right now. Like, I don't know enough of what this deck does. A lot of people in my area don't play this deck, so it's not real in my area. However, I do know it's one of those decks from just doing my research before this video. You have to respect it, so don't sleep on it. It's one of those decks that'll cook you with the right player. Just make sure you're reading all your cards and you should be fine. Mitsurugi Pure, which is using like the lizard stuff. Honestly, y'all, like, I beat it online when I played against it because I opened draw. I would like to think if I didn't open draw, I would have had a hard time. I'm gonna put it at tier 2 right now because I don't know the full power of it just yet. I haven't played against it enough yet. However, just from watching online, the best version is the Fiendsmith version. I'm sorry, the Rizel version. I won't be surprised if there is a Fiendsmith Rizel Mitsurugi deck. I mean, I heard it kind of clashes, but there are players who would like to experiment with 60 card decks. So putting it at tier 2 right now. Like, it's a good deck. I just don't know how good it is for pure just yet. This right here is the... Oh, I'm sorry. This was Mimighoul. Yeah, this was Mimighoul Monster. Sorry, I don't have the name right. This is the Memento. Same thing, concept, tier 2. Honestly, like, once again, like, I think this is, yeah, this is Memento. This is Mimighoul. Anyway, doesn't matter. Mimighoul is good. It's a tier 2 deck. Like, it's not bad. I feel the same way about Mimighoul as Memento, vice versa. Like, they're both solid decks for what they're worth. Just read your cards. You should be good. They definitely can win the locals. They've topped events. They've done really well under a solid player. It's just they're not the best because other decks just do more for less. Primite decks. Primite is not really a deck by itself. It can be. However, really gonna be like Primite Blue Eyes, Primite Rizel. That is a thing. Don't sleep on it. I want to say primary decks are going to be like tier 1.5. This engine is so good. The Lordy Load just doing everything is insane. It's the reason why the card's like $40 right now. Don't be surprised when you see Primite stuff top in regionals. And that goes for all versions of Primite. Like, I could have added them down here like I did like the Fiendsmith Rizel and things like that. But honestly, with that being said, y'all, just don't sleep on it. You guys should be fine. All right, let's see. So Pure Tenpai by itself, honestly, y'all, good for locals. It's not that good. By itself, pure. Just by itself, good for locals, not good for nothing else. Don't waste your time. It's just an okay deck at best. Fiendsmith Tempai, the one that Triff been running. I'm not gonna say it's tier two. I'm gonna say tier 1.5. Like I've seen him cook people online with it. It's a very complicated deck. I want to say it's Rogue, but it's tier 1.5. If you play it properly, it can compete with everything else, but you have to play it properly. So yeah, I think honestly the Fiendsmith stuff just carries so hard, and then the Tempai stuff is like too many engines you got to worry about. They also run Skyscraper cards in there too, so it's like it's a weird deck. Ideally, I would think it bricks, but from what I've seen online, it don't. I haven't really seen it top really anything mainstream just yet. I could be wrong on that though. I do actually no, I'm lying. Somebody did top of regionals with it, I think. However, I think it's you know what, tier two. It don't top a lot because it's a high. It takes a really skilled player to play this deck. Like, when I say skilled, you just got to know everything, the ins and outs of the deck. I don't think it's worth learning. We just learn something better if you just don't care about winning. But if you want to be different and win, then play that. Sky Sharker Malice, tier 1.5. I don't think it's tier 1. The deck is good, but things like Lancia, things like the new Fualos, Meows, this is going to hurt the deck a lot. I don't think the deck is dead at all, though. The deck's really good. It's just not that good. It's playable, but not that playable. It's like on the same power level as Ryzel. Like, I feel like if I could beat this deck with pure Ryzel, it's not that good. I mean, some people say, well, you probably played against bad players with it, but no, I played against some pretty good players who knew what they were doing. They played everything properly. Just I played my deck properly too, and my cards just outbeat theirs. So, and then also opening Lancia just shuts that deck down a lot because you can do it during draw phase. At least with Ryzel, the worst thing they have to worry about is like D barrier. So if you side in like 1 to 2 D barriers, well, side in just like 1 D barrier, and if you don't open it, and you open your crossout designator, they go D barrier, go crossout, and you just win. Unless they have hand traps and like a solid board, you just win 90% of the times. Fiendsmith Malice, tier 1.5. I've seen people play this version. It's very clunky. I think the Striker version is better, but I have been seeing people do good with both versions. It just seems like the Fiendsmith version is a little too hard to play personally for me. So yeah, I think tier 1.5, they're around the same power level. Just this one takes a little bit more higher level to do all your Fiendsmith combos properly before the Malice stuff. Mitsurugi Ryzel. I ain't gonna lie, I've seen Triff break boards with this deck. It's tier 1, bro. Like, some people say they think it ain't real. It does lose to Droll if they Droll you. But I'm just going based off of what I've seen online. I haven't played against it at all. But from what I've seen online, from like what Triff Gaming did with it, like opening up no hand traps, all board breakers, or not even, or just all engine and breaking boards against the Fiendsmith version, bro, that's insane. Played properly, this deck's insane. So, and I think people won't understand that until the deck comes out, which once the format shifts and everyone start making Droll, it'll probably get bumped down to tier 1.5. But right now on release, yeah, tier 1 for sure. The deck is really good. It's really insane. Same thing for Fiendsmith Ryzel, bro. Like, I mean, it's almost damn near tier 0. But it's tier 1 because it's beatable, but it depends on the pilot too. Because like a lot of the times people will start spamming Ryzels and then try to go Fiendsmith and they forget. That's how I won a lot of my games at regionals. And a lot of the times too, they just have awkward hands that takes like big brain thinking plays to make. And it's different when you play online, because online people have all the time in the world to think. But when you're in a big event, you're on the clock, you're looking at your opponent, your opponent's looking at you like, man, you got to make a move. You can't just sit here and think all day. So it's tier 1, but it's beatable. It's beatable, honestly. But in the grind game is where it gets you. The grind game of Fiendsmith Ryzel is what gets you. So it's really annoying, but it is what it is. Ritual Beast, man, it's tier 2 for sure. Like, it's a good deck. People top with it. I think somebody was top 8 at regionals with it not too long ago. And on top of that, I mean, honestly, they can play Shifter still, which is good against the Fiendsmith deck. And Protosock. Protosock is a real thing. So if they Protosock you, it's GG, no real well played. There's nothing you can do about that but scoop it up. Goblin Biker. So this deck, honestly, this deck being good depends on how good Pure Ryzel is. But considering Pure Ryzel is not that good right now, well, not heavily ran, it's a decent deck. I mean, it did top 8 regionals. But I'm going to say it's tier 2 right now. I want to put it at tier 1.5, but it's tier 2. Just like in Japan, like, it did good when Pure Ryzel was everywhere. But once people figured out how to side against it or started maining Ultimate Slayers, so that was like a small thing in the LCG where people will remain decking Ultimate Slayers. Like, it's a good deck. It just, with the way the metagame is set up here in the TCG, it's not the best. So, yeah. Whitewoods, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. This deck's rogue. Every time I play against this deck, I cook it. Like it's good, but it's like Runic. Like, it was good last format. This format is like, It gets a little bit more support, But until somebody do something good with it, I don't think it's that real right now. As the kids say, it's not real. Man, hey y'all, these new Yu-Gi-Oh terminologies is hilarious. Now, as a Yu-Gi boomer, bro, when I hear people say that deck's not real, bro, that tickles the hell out of me, bro. I be dying laughing. I'm like, bro, where are y'all coming up with these terms? People calling people bozos and saying that's not real. I'm like, bro, this lingo, 2025 Yu-Gi-Oh lingo is hilarious to me, bro. Like back in the day, we used to have things like broken, the nuts, and all that stuff. That was cool. It was hilarious, but I think the Gen Z, man, y'all got some funny Yu-Gi-Oh lingo. Anyway, Dynamorphia, just test top of the regional, so I feel like I should have talked about it. It's rogue, like, same people lost because they didn't know what they were doing against this deck. I ain't gonna lie, I probably would have lost against it too because I don't know how to play against this deck. So I just read every card. You should be good. Like reading and comprehension is so important for Yu-Gi-Oh. So just make sure you guys are doing that. You should be fine. Same thing with Dark Worlds. It just won. I mean, this is because no one understands Droll. Dark World is good though because they have that quick play spell. I don't know if the dude ran it in his list. Probably did. That quick play spell that could just banish things out of the graveyard. It's really good. It spams, but it's a Droll-less format, so that's why it's doing good. Let's be real. But it's rogue, like good for locals and my type of regionals. But more than likely, people just thought, oh, he's playing Dark Worlds. I shouldn't lose against this garbage. It's Dark World. I shouldn't lose. And then they lose against it. They're like, oh, damn. I just lost against Dark Worlds. So, yeah. Then same thing with Buster Blader. Like, you just got to know how to play against the deck. It's rogue. My boy JoJo topped with it. I did see some people experimenting with it outside of him, like online and things like that. It's a good deck, honestly, but it's one of the things. Once you know how to play against it, I mean, if you had the right cards, you could beat it. But at the same time, like you got to know what to hit. Like I played against this the other day, I beat it because I had Dro, I had Imperm for the monster that asked the Buster Blader stuff. Like I guarantee you, like one of the reasons my boy JoJo did well, he summons the dude. People were like, hey, read it, Buster Blader card. They're like, whatever, that card's garbage, and he cooked them with it. So if you can just prevent them from doing stuff, you should be good. You should be good. It's one of those that like these three decks right here, like Buster Blader, Metamorphia, Dark Worlds, they're really good at what they do. It's like heroes. It's good when it pops off, it goes off, But like once people understand the deck and how it works, it's hard to win. So this was my tier list, man. How did you guys think I did? I'm pretty sure there's some decks I forgot, but I'm gonna leave that for you guys. So let me know in the comment section down below. Like if I forgot a deck, it don't mean I think the deck is bad or garbage. It's just I haven't seen it enough online to justify putting it on the list. Like obviously I know I could put Fire King on here. I just don't think that deck's good right now. It's decent, but I don't want to have good for locals being piled up. So these are all the decks that's kind of relevant to me. So yeah, man, if you guys want to support the channel, feel free to do so by hitting that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Commenting is very important. Help push your boy through the algorithm. I'm on a road to 22K subs. I'm like 300 or so subs from that. So let's get them subscribers up in. Yeah, man, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video tomorrow. Peace.